Good evening. It was a dramatic rescue that took dozens of first responders several hours.
A construction worker stuck some 4 meters below ground, pinned by a piece of concrete. It happened at a construction site near Lansdowne and Davenport, and that's where we find CTV's John Musselman tonight. John.
Well, Nathan, yes, it was a very dramatic rescue here on Lansdowne at the building just behind me. We can tell you the man will survive, but it was some tense moments here this afternoon.
The rescue operation involved a construction worker trapped in a hole about 4 meters below ground. It happened at the Foundry Lofts near Lansdowne and Davenport just before 10:30 this morning. Emergency officials say the worker was trapped under a piece of concrete. Tactical paramedics were lowered into the hole after it was secured to provide medical assistance.
The patient is conscious and alert at this time, and as the commander mentioned, they are trapped by both legs from cement. So very challenging. The medics are providing medical care up until we can get them out.
Emergency teams set up a trench rescue. The challenge was removing the concrete that was pinning the worker and ensuring the walls did not collapse.
There's a piece of concrete that is holding onto the leg at this time. We are trying to remove that. We also have to do our shoring up of the situation to make it safe for our responders.
The rescue operation attracted curious onlookers, many expressing concerns for the trapped worker.
It's been a long time. It's probably 3-hour mark it's going to be at now. So, you just hope he comes out okay.
5 hours after it began, success. The worker was safely pulled up. The 56-year-old man was then transported to hospital.
His condition, I would say, is our working assessment is serious but non-life-threatening. He is dealing with multi-system trauma, and he is going to a local trauma center now.
Construction crews were doing waterproofing work at the building when this happened. The Ministry of Labor has been called in to investigate.
And Fire Chief Jim Jessup put out a message today thanking both firefighters, police, and paramedics for their coordinated effort in rescuing this man. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back inside to you.
Thank you, John. A man is fighting for his life in hospital after a stabbing in Lesleyville this morning. Police were called to an apartment near Queen Street East and Logan Avenue just before 8:30 a.m. A man in his 60s was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. A woman in her 30s was arrested at the scene. Police have not indicated whether the suspect and victim knew each other.
A deputy police chief in Durham region has been suspended without pay
after being accused of using a racially inappropriate term during a meeting. CTV's Allison Hurst has been following this story and joins us now live with the details. Allison.
That's right. At CTV News has learned through sources the identity of the deputy chief is Chris Kirkpatrick. Deputy Chief Chris Kirkpatrick with Durham Regional Police has been suspended with pay following allegations he used a racial slur in a meeting earlier this week.
To say that I was shocked and appalled is absolutely an understatement.
It's alleged to have happened during a meeting with the Afro-Caribbean Canadian Internal Support Network. In a statement, Durham Regional Police Chief Peter Morera says a deputy chief used language, although not directed at anyone, that was offensive and inconsistent with our values. He adds they recognize the impact words can have, regardless of intent. DRPS remains firmly committed to fostering a respectful, inclusive environment where all members feel valued, safe, and supported.
I believe the deputy chief was recounting some sort of story from their Toronto days and just casually used that word in the context of telling a story and didn't apologize right afterwards, didn't even catch himself using it, just used it.
The police board was informed of this incident on Wednesday and Kirkpatrick was suspended with pay.
The accused in this case gets the courtesy of not having their name published in a DRPS media release. They get the benefit of an investigation while on paid leave, whereas anybody else who uttered that racial slur would be immediately terminated.
According to the Toronto Star, in 2024, Kirkpatrick was allegedly pulled over in his unmarked vehicle for speeding through a school zone. And the next day, he was stopped for allegedly driving 50 kilometers per hour over the speed limit, an offense that would normally come with a stunt driving charge. Both times, the high-ranking officer was allowed to drive away without being given a ticket. According to multiple published reports, he said he regretted his actions and was docked 94 hours. Sterling Lee, Ajax City Councillor and Deputy Mayor, says he's been calling for more diversity at higher ranks in the police service for years.
For 7 years, I've been screaming at the top of my lungs, what are we doing? And I'm constantly being met with, the DRPS is hiring the best people for the job. It's on merit. And merit makes sense. I'm all for merit-based, appointments, but if the system itself is inherently flawed and uneven and unfair, then merit has nothing to do with it, because you are still going to go to a certain type of individual to promote or to hire.
Before being named Deputy Chief of Durham Regional Police, Kirkpatrick was a superintendent with the Toronto Police.
Good morning, everyone.
He sent this statement to CTV News saying, "As it is under investigation, I am ready to fully cooperate in that process, but would decline making a statement to the media at this time." The Region of Durham's Chair, John Henry, also released a statement saying that he has been in touch with the Chief of Police on what happened and that he condemns the language used in its strongest terms. There is an independent investigation that is underway right now by a third party. Reporting live, I'm Alison Hurst. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Alison. The University of Toronto's placed its Dean of Dentistry on leave over allegations he used racist images in a recent lecture. Dr. Anil Kishan will not be allowed to teach while the allegations are investigated. The school says Kishan has apologized to staff and students. U of T is not offering any further comment. Kishan served as the dean of the school's Faculty of Dentistry since April of last year.
Also tonight, 4.5 years in jail for the man convicted of killing a York Regional Police officer in a head-on crash. Reaction from family coming up. But first, let's give you a live look right now at the city skyline as we get our first look at the forecast. Nice day today, but things are about to change. Lindsay Morrison is here with our current conditions. Boy, we were enjoying the sunshine and those spring-like temperatures, but it looks like we've got more cold weather ahead.
Yes, a little bit of weather whiplash, if you will, Zoraida. By Sunday, it is going to be feeling like the middle of winter once again. So let's enjoy this while we have it. It is still 12 degrees this hour in Windsor, Ontario. It's 7 at Pearson Airport, 6 degrees right now in the city of Hamilton, and 7 in Niagara Falls as well. A closer look at the GTA shows that just about everyone is enjoying this above seasonal warmth, including Burlington and Oakville at 8 degrees. Little cooler this hour in Scarborough by the water at +3. Here's a look at the winds. They're coming directly from the south, not overly strong, but they are going to strengthen later tonight. And we enjoyed that sunshine. All is pretty calm and clear on the satellite and radar. Overnight tonight, we could get a few quick passing rain showers with a cold front that is going to send our temperature tumbling through the day tomorrow. We'll take a full look at your weekend weather forecast coming up. But for now, Nathan and Zoraida, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Still ahead, Prime Minister Mark Carney arrives in India hoping to secure new trade deals, the possible economic benefits and concerns raised by Canada's Sikh community. But first, Halton Regional Police are sharing the results of what they're calling a lengthy drug trafficking investigation. Project Forge began last fall as officers with the Regional Drug and Organized Crime Unit started looking into illegal drug sales across the GTA. On February 9th, police executed search warrants at 2 locations and a vehicle. They seized an estimated $1.5 million worth of drugs, including 36 kilos of opium, 20 kilos of cocaine, and $15,000 to $20,000 in cash. 22-year-old Aidan Zidane of Toronto was arrested and is facing charges. Meanwhile, police in York Region laid charges following a weapons and drug investigation. A gun, crossbow, brass knuckles, and ammunition was seized, as well as $58,000 in cash, cocaine, meth, and MDMA, with an approximate street value of $325,000. Police say the investigation began in the fall when it was reported that 2 men were trafficking drugs in York Region and surrounding areas. 6 people have now been arrested and are facing dozens of charges.
Staying in York Region, police have charged 3 suspects in connection with an armed home invasion in King Township that saw a man sent to hospital with a gunshot wound. It happened on the evening of November 4th, 2024 in Nobleton. A neighbor confronted the suspects and home security footage captured the moment one of the men opened fire at the 39-year-old. He was taken to a trauma center with non-life-threatening injuries. The suspects fled, but police say they have now arrested 44-year-old Clayton McFarlane of Oshawa and 33-year-old Cardinal Campbell of Grimsby. They are charged with attempted murder and other offences. 39-year-old Andrew Dove of Toronto also facing charges of failure to comply with a release order. Also yesterday, York police say they caught a trio of suspects wanted in connection with at least 14 break-and-enter incidents. With the help of air support, officers say they watched as suspects entered a home near Tower Hill Road in Bathurst in Richmond Hill. They moved in to arrest them and their alleged getaway driver. All three now charged with break-and-enter and participating in a criminal organization. One was also charged with breach of probation. In Mississauga, a man in his 70s has died after being struck by a vehicle last night. Police say the man was struck on Lakeshore Road west of Huron, Ontario, just after 7 p.m. Investigators say the man was struck while crossing Lakeshore mid-block. He was rushed to hospital where he later died. The driver involved remained at the scene and is cooperating with police. The investigation is ongoing.
More than 3 years after killing a York Regional Police officer in an early morning crash, a 27-year-old man's been sentenced to 6 years behind bars, less time served.
As CTV's Janice Goulding reports, the officer's family says while the decision won't bring him back, they do hope it'll make others think before getting behind the wheel while impaired.
The family of a fallen York Regional Police constable emerges from a Newmarket courtroom today, having just learned 27-year-old Hao Ju Zhao will be spending the next 55 months in jail for killing their loved one.
I hope he doesn't try to appeal it.
In September 2022, Travis Gillespie was killed while driving to work. And last October, Zhao, who was 23 at the time, was found guilty of impaired driving causing death and dangerous driving causing death.
He's dragged my family through 3.5 years of coming to court, and he's dragged us through this emotional ride of hell.
Prosecutors wanted Zhao to serve 7 years in jail, the defense arguing for 4. Superior Court Justice Mark Edwards sentencing Zhao today to 6 years less time served, which amounts to 4.625 years.
No matter the length and everything we've been through, it will never bring Travis back, and we're still stuck with this grief.
It won't bring my son back, but I'm hoping that this case will be used in other cases going forward for impaired driving.
In his reasoning today, Justice Edwards said he had no doubt Mr. Zhao has real remorse for what he did September 14, 2022, and cited the York University economics student's clean record and relatively young age, adding, however, Mr. Zhao chose to get into a car knowing he had consumed alcohol, and the fact he only had a G2 license should have been a warning to him that he should not drive his car. The Chinese international student's blood alcohol reading was 80 milligrams in 100 milliliters of blood 2 hours after the crash. As a G2 license holder, Zhao is forbidden from having any alcohol in his system. Justice Edwards, it follows he was not permitted to drive. His decision to drink and drive resulted in a totally needless and terrible tragedy.
Just don't get behind a wheel if you're going to have drinks.
The 38-year-old's family saying they hope people can learn from their tragedy, heartache they have yet to come to terms with.
I'm just happy that we don't have to come back here again and continue on this trauma.
I'm glad that he showed up to court today. I was nervous he would flee, and I'm glad that he left the courtroom in handcuffs today.
Do you have anything you'd like to say about the sentencing?
Zhao's family declined to comment on the sentencing today. Janice Goulding, CTV News.
A heads up for TTC riders. Replacement buses are still running instead of the 510 Spadina streetcar until early tomorrow morning. As infrastructure damage is repaired, a major subway closure is also in effect all weekend. Starting at 11:59 p.m. tonight, Line 2 trains will stop running between St. George and Keele stations. Shuttle buses will run, as will Wheel-Trans for passengers needing assistance. The TTC says it is carrying out state-of-good repair work, and all stations except Lansdowne will stay open for fare purchases and connections to surface routes. Regular service is back on Monday morning.
It's been 1 year since Ontarians went to the polls and re-elected a PC government.
CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris looks at how the government is living up to its election ideals and where voters stand today.
365 days ago, Ontario voters elected Doug Ford's Progressive Conservatives to a third consecutive majority. Almost 8 years since taking the reins of the province,
I want to be premier forever. I'm just pumped up. We're getting things done.
Ford framed last year's election around protecting Ontario from Donald Trump, collaborating with premiers of different political stripes.
If it's good for Ontario, we're going to work well together. If you attack Ontario, it's not going to be a good day for you. because I got to protect the people.
A promise that rings hollow for critics. The Premier preoccupied with new possibilities of growing Toronto's Island Airport and overhauling its convention centre.
Another world-class announcement is coming.
Enough stunts, enough attempts to distract. Just fix the mess that's right in front of your own face.
Imploring the government to refocus on healthcare, education, and keeping life affordable.
I'm tired of the spectacle. I'm tired of the hype. And I think a lot of Ontarians are. They just give me the thing that I need.
New polling from Liaison Strategies shows cracks in Ford's party support.
Back in October, they were at 47%. Now they're down at 40%. So we're seeing a bit of a slow slide for the PC party.
Progressive Conservatives still lead the Liberals and NDP, but voters aren't happy with what they're seeing.
The environment, education, crime, healthcare, cost of living, you name it, more Ontarians disapprove than approve on every single issue.
The opposition NDP has been languishing in third.
I believe that right now our values are more aligned than ever with where most people are at in their lives.
Ontario New Democrats are feeling some drag from their federal cousins, while the Liberals may be getting a boost from the popularity of Prime Minister Mark Carney.
We have more ice time, we have more money, and pound for pound, we have the smartest, most talented caucus.
This time next year, the Liberals will have a new leader, their third in 6 years. That vote is in November. The next province-wide election has to be before April 2030. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
On Parliament Hill, the Carney government's budget implementation bill has passed the House of Commons, but it still has a ways to go before becoming law. Bill C-15 carried on division Thursday, and that means there was no recorded vote in the House of Commons. The legislation enacts key measures proposed in Prime Minister Carney's budget. Now, if it didn't pass, it could have triggered an election. The bill is still making its way through the Senate, which isn't scheduled to sit until March 9th.
Canada's economy shrank unexpectedly in the fourth quarter of 2025.
Stats Canada says the main reason was manufacturers selling off inventory as trade tensions with the U.S. kept companies scrambling. CTV's Annie Bergeron Oliver took a closer look at the numbers.
At Ottawa's Ideal Roofing, 2025 was a year of constant change and unpredictability.
We've lost some of our American customers because of tariffs, like about a 5% drop. And in Canada, we find there's a lot of uncertainties from our customers and from our suppliers.
The family-owned business says clients are spending more cautiously, and that's changed how and what they buy. Tariffs, for example, have erased their U.S. market for raw sheet metal and coils, which means they're sitting on extra inventory.
We need these tariffs removed. I think that's going to create back the certainty that we need. That's going to remove all these uncertainty. People are not going to be as fearful of their jobs and what's going to happen.
To compensate for all that instability, Statistics Canada says many manufacturers are dipping into their stockpiles instead of buying or making new products, and that's contributing to lower economic growth. In the fourth quarter, GDP contracted by 0.6% compared to a 2.4% jump the quarter before. The drop bringing the country's overall growth in 2025 to just 1.7%, the slowest annual pace of growth since 2020.
It does appear that ongoing uncertainty about trade policies continuing to weigh on business investment, and that's what's keeping the economy down towards the end of the year.
Economists say there are positive signs in today's data. Household spending and total capital investment, including by the government, are up.
On the metrics that currency traders look at, that global investors look at, the Canadian economy is holding up pretty well.
Throughout the first quarter of 2026, most economists predict GDP will be flat. Annie Bergeron Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Prime Minister and other officials have landed in India for a trade mission aimed at boosting Canada's ties with partners other than the United States.
Meanwhile, the Carney government is facing calls to clarify its stance on whether India is still carrying out acts of foreign interference in this country. CTV's Abigail Beeman is traveling with the PM.
The Prime Minister is now here in Mumbai trying to pitch Canada as a stable and reliable trading partner for India. While many in Canada's Sikh community don't feel India is a reliable partner for them, half a dozen organizations came together to voice their opposition to a Canadian government official's comments suggesting India is no longer involved in violence on Canadian soil. The RCMP and former Prime Minister previously linked the Indian government to the murder of a Canadian Sikh activist, while a CSIS report labeled India a main perpetrator of foreign interference and espionage.
To tell communities who are continuing to live these realities that this connection somehow has magically disappeared is not reassuring. It is dishonest, it is insulting, and it is gaslighting at its highest level.
While neither CSIS nor the RCMP would respond head-on to the new comments from a government official, not everyone in government agrees. At least one Liberal is denouncing the comments.
I strongly condemn these remarks made by the government official because the claim is very disconnected from the reality the community is facing on the ground, and also it contradicts with the assessments of Canada National Security and Law Enforcement Agencies, including NSIA, the RCMP, and the CSIS.
We have not heard from Prime Minister Mark Carney about this issue since landing in India Friday afternoon, local time. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Mumbai.
During a visit to Texas promoting his energy and economic policies, U.S. President Donald Trump said Washington isn't getting the right answers in its talks with Iran about nuclear enrichment.
They don't want to say the key words, we're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They have to say, we're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And they just can't quite get there. They want to enrich a little bit. You don't have to enrich when you have that much oil. So I'm not happy with the negotiation.
U.S. and Iranian officials held indirect talks in Switzerland yesterday that mediators framed as positive, but no specific agreements were announced. As American forces gather in the Middle East, Trump has threatened military action if Iran does not agree to limit its nuclear program. Iran insists it has the right to enrich uranium, and it's only doing so for peaceful purposes. And looking further east, Pakistan and Afghanistan exchanged cross-border attacks overnight, with Pakistan's defense minister saying the two countries are in a state of open war. The Taliban government in Afghanistan launched a strike late yesterday, saying it was in retaliation for deadly Pakistani strikes Sunday. Pakistan responded with airstrikes in Kabul and other areas, saying it targeted military installations. The two sides have fought on and off for months. Each side shared sharply differing casualty claims that couldn't be verified. Well, NASA says it's making changes to its Artemis program as it works to bring astronauts back to the surface of the moon.
The switch-up comes just days after the Artemis 2 blastoff was delayed to address critical issues with the launch system. CTV's John Venevalley Rao has the details.
In a video hyping the coming Artemis 2 mission with Canadian Jeremy Hansen, you can see the 4 astronauts waiting to blast off on a rocket that NASA continues to say is launching soon. A rocket now being repaired inside of a huge hangar after another issue was discovered last week, with NASA still hoping to launch in early April.
What we're doing is anything but easy, and we've seen that with the challenges that we've encountered.
And now the space agency revamping plans for what comes after Hansen and the others loop around the moon. Artemis 3 was supposed to land humans on the surface for the first time in half a century. Instead, it's now scheduled to blast off next year and stay in low Earth orbit for a test flight to try and dock with at least one prototype lunar lander. Artemis 4 will then attempt a touchdown on the moon in 2028, along with a second possible landing.
So it's challenging, it's ambitious, but with this course correction, we are on a more stable foundation, a more realistic path to the milestones we have ahead.
The decision comes amid a new space race, with China continuing to make progress towards its goal of landing people on the moon by 2030.
I think competition is good. I think it's a great way to, motivate our workforce and our partners, again, to achieve the near impossible. This competition worked very well for us in the 1960s.
NASA is also scrapping plans to build a more powerful version of its Artemis rockets, instead focusing on making them more quickly and launching every 10 months or so.
Everybody agrees this is the only way forward.
Still, some are skeptical of the new timeline, with Elon Musk's SpaceX and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin still developing their lunar landers for NASA.
And some question whether either of those will be ready for a test flight next year. Jonathan Navalny-Rouse, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up, it's a place to consume books, but for some, it's become a place to consume drugs. A Hamilton library forces staff to the front lines of the opioid crisis and searches for solutions.
So the cool down begins tonight, as the temperature typically does into the nighttime hours. +2 is what we are looking at overnight tonight, but it only gets cooler from there. So here's a look at tomorrow. 0 degrees in the morning, about -3 by mid-afternoon, and then in the evening, -6 degrees is going to feel into the minus teens. And if you think that's cold, wait until you see Sunday. We'll take a look at the forecast after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
For generations, they were a refuge for those who love to read. Public libraries considered safe spaces for people of all ages.
But these spaces now find themselves on the front lines of the opioid crisis, and some fear it puts them at risk of shutting their doors to all. CTV's Adrian Gabriel reports.
Hamilton, Ontario Central Library is a modern 6-story complex, a multi-use public space that prides itself on being inclusive. Though delivering on its mission statement is becoming increasingly more difficult.
Ultimately, it's been the drug consumption has been really problematic and really disrupting our ability to be a public library.
Since December, paramedics have been called to Hamilton Central Library 105 times. Security have administered life-saving naloxone on 44 occasions. In the first 5 weeks of this year, there's been a total of 771 incidents involving security.
People consuming drugs in the washrooms, sometimes consuming drugs within the library itself.
The CEO of Hamilton's Public Library had suggested a temporary closure to allow for a reset. A board of directors rejected the idea. In March of last year, 2 libraries in Saskatoon were closed temporarily due to growing safety and overdose concerns.
Library workers aren't first responders. They shouldn't have to deal with medical emergencies.
In May, a library in Thunder Bay had to shut its doors after a staff member was assaulted. Back in Hamilton, there's no clear consensus.
Do you believe that this library should close as they work to get a handle on the issues that are taking place here?
I don't know. It's a hard question. We're hoping to find a solution that keeps the library accessible, that keeps it inclusive.
Last year, the Ontario government closed 10 safe injection sites, including in Hamilton, opening treatment facilities in their place.
I would hope that they can see the impact that their policy decisions have made.
An email from Ontario's Minister of Health's office says, in part, that instead of giving people tools to use illegal drugs, our government is making record investments to help break the tragic cycle of drug addiction. Though for now, librarians thrust onto the front lines say the cycle continues to spin out of control.
With fewer supervised consumption sites, the concern among those we spoke with is that the crisis taking place here and at libraries across the country will only continue to grow without adequate support. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Hamilton, Ontario.
All right, looking at the forecast today, comfortable. I think tomorrow's okay, but then a big change is on the way. And it just seems like we're going back and forth.
I know. Mother Nature is playing a cruel joke on us. Lindsay, look at everybody down Nathan Phillips Square enjoying, they're skating. It's nice and mild out.
Yep.
Tomorrow we're hunkering down.
Yeah, less comfortable tomorrow. I don't blame all these people for spending time outside tonight. It's Friday night, comfortable on the rink. I think today would have been a picturesque day on the ski hills as well. Hopefully everyone enjoyed this little sampling of spring, because, yeah, it's not going to feel like the season through the rest of the weekend, although it does look as though some milder weather returns next week. We just have to get through a cold period first. Here's one more look outside. Look at that. The sun continuing to set. We are basking in the afterglow. Sunset time is now approximately 6:03 p.m. We love to see it, especially on a day like this where you can enjoy both the sunshine and mild temperatures. I think today lifted a lot of spirits out there for those who are craving some spring. It's been a lengthy winter for many. Now 9 degrees in Windsor, 6 at Pearson Airport, and 4 degrees in Wyerton, Ontario, as well as Sault Ste. Marie. Nice little ridge that built over southern Ontario. Our seasonal norm is +2. We made it all the way to 7, 8 degrees, depending on which part of the GTA you were joining us from. And of course, Windsor, Ontario, perhaps the big winner at 12 this afternoon and early evening. If you too are hoping to go for a skate this evening, you can expect that around 8 p.m. the temperature will be near 5 degrees, but then it continues to get colder from there. So as we take a little journey across southern Ontario, notice that this is the daytime high, followed by the afternoon temperature. And I say daytime high, that high is going to be reached in the morning. So this is an atypical temperature pattern. We've got a cold front swinging through tonight, could bring us a couple of rain showers. I'll show you that in just a moment. But yes, our temperature is on the way down. We're going to notice it as early as tomorrow night and certainly into Sunday and Monday morning. So here's a look at the satellite and radar. We enjoyed sunshine. All is pretty calm and quiet in southern Ontario. This Clipper system is going to stay well north of us, but the associated cold front, that will impact us. Again, first with the possibility of showers overnight, so there's about 2 a.m., but the bigger change is going to be the colder air that comes in behind that. For the most part, we enjoy a mix of sun and cloud for your Saturday. Cloudy by the nighttime hours, chance of some light snow in some areas, won't amount to a whole lot. And then Sunday, it's calm, it's clear, but boy, is it cold, and it's going to be cold into the day on Monday, too. So there's your weekend forecast. Looks like we will be at our warmest tomorrow morning, and the temperature falls into the afternoon, and then overnight, both Sunday night, or Saturday night, I should say, and into Sunday night, early Monday, temperatures are in the minus teens, feeling close to -20. There's Monday, a mix of sun and cloud. Looks like a little bit of warmth is going to return for the middle part of next week, which is welcomed. But when it comes to this cold weather, I think it's safe to say that March is coming in like a lion.
Carry the fire for a world free from the fear of cancer. The Princess Margaret Home Lottery VIP deadline is midnight tonight. Here's your chance to be entered to win the VIP prize, Porsche in Paris, an unforgettable trip to France, plus a 2026 Porsche Macan TAWD, or take $100,000 cash instead. Plus, be in to win the incredible $8.5 million grand prize, a fully furnished, professionally designed Thornhill show home, plus $500,000 cash. Only hours remain. Buy your tickets before midnight tonight. Every ticket gives you the chance to win life-changing prizes and helps fund life-saving cancer research at the Princess Margaret. Buy now at princessmargaretlotto.com or call 1-866-631-1234.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, new advances in hearing technology improves sound for a 10-year-old girl, the first of its kind surgical implant coming up. It's a North American first performed right here at Sick Kids in Toronto, a new type of cochlear implant that could change the lives of those who are hard of hearing.
As CTV's Sean Leathong reports, the implant not only changes what you can hear, but makes it easier to keep up with advances in hearing technology.
It's like a processor right there, then a magnet right there.
Anabia Bilal is the first person in North America to have a new type of cochlear implant, allowing her to hear certain sounds for the first time.
The rain, you can hear like a tiny droplets, like then the weather, and I can hear the wind.
The 10-year-old from Fergus, Ontario is at Sick Kids for some tests to see how the implant is working. She's been hard of hearing since she was born.
My hearing deteriorated like in 2024.
As her hearing got worse, she became eligible for a cochlear implant that stands apart from those before.
The first time that the part of the cochlear implant that actually goes inside the body is upgradable without needing an additional surgery.
Dr. Sharon Cushing is Anabia's surgeon and the director of the cochlear program at Sick Kids. She says Anabia's implant can connect remotely like a telephone, so when technology improves, Anabia's hearing will improve.
It's exactly like getting an update on your phone.
The implant comes from Australia and is called Nexa. Anabia had surgery on August 1st and immediately started training her brain to hear sounds like never before.
Initially, it sounds like a little bit like R2-D2, so beeps and not stuff that doesn't sound like language. But over time, kids will come back and you say, what does it sound like today, 3 months later? Oh, it's normal, because the brain is that powerful.
Dr. Cushing says some families are hesitant to put cochlear implants in both ears for fear that new technology will come along requiring more surgery. But this helps patients like Anabia focus on immediate improvement.
I'm so proud of you. Thank you. You're doing awesome.
6 months after surgery, Anabia has improved her life in ways she never expected.
She will probably get to where she needs to go in the next few months.
Now her brain is detecting sound in a way that helps her focus not only on what she hears, but improving speech and...
I didn't have confidence, but implant, I had more confidence.
And it will only get better and better. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
The Canadian Pediatric Society is now recommending cholesterol screening for all kids between the ages of 2 and 10. CTV's Rachel Aiello spoke with the health expert behind the new guidance and a family that has experienced firsthand the value of early screening.
What do you do? After Edmonton father Mike Heathcote was diagnosed with a common genetic disorder that can cause lifelong high cholesterol, his family decided to have their kids Haley and Ryan tested.
Finding out the kids had it was a bit bittersweet. On the one hand, no one likes to know that their kid has these sorts of health problems, but on the other hand, early intervention prevents them from going down the same path that I did.
Today, the Canadian Pediatric Society released new guidance recommending cholesterol screening for all children between the ages of 2 and 10. Guidance Mike was thrilled to hear.
It's a simple blood test, and even if the result is negative, at least you know. There's a lot more people that are affected and a lot of people that can be carriers of the gene and not even realize it.
The lead cardiologist behind the new guidance, who specializes in prevention, says plaque buildup in arteries starts in childhood and can be a key driver of heart disease and stroke.
Universal screening would permit us to find cholesterol disorders, especially genetic cholesterol disorders, and act on them in a timely and effective manner.
Doctors say high cholesterol is relatively easy to treat with lifestyle changes and, in some cases, medication. But the challenging part is finding it.
Sadly, it's a silent disease until a first event happens, and then all too often, unfortunately, it's diagnosed after a cardiac event or after a stroke.
The American Academy of Pediatrics also recommends cholesterol testing in children, but Canadian pediatricians hadn't had clear guidance until now. Dr. Corey said he hopes more widespread testing will improve the age of detection and patient outcomes in this country. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
One of the world's biggest video game franchises is celebrating a major anniversary.
This year marks the Pokemon series' 30th, a milestone reached because of your support. Thank you, each and every one of you.
It's been exactly 30 years since the first 2 titles in the monster-catching series were released in Japan. They were Pokemon Red and Pokemon Green for the Game Boy. Now, there's been a steady stream of new games since then, but Pokemon has always seen worldwide success with its animated shows, movies, mobile games, and highly coveted trading cards.
After a career spanning more than 6 decades, prolific singer-songwriter Neil Sedaka has died.
Think of all that we've been through.
Aside from his own performances, Sedaka was also the writer of dozens of hit songs like Breaking Up Is Hard to Do and Love Will Keep Us Together, with his hits dating back to the 50s. Family members told NBC that Sedaka's passing was sudden and that he will be deeply missed. Neil Sedaka was 86. A horror sequel is hoping to spook its way to #1 at the weekend box office.
Nice little town you found. You and your pretty daughter.
Deadline is forecasting that Scream 7 is on its way to a franchise opening record of $59 million US across North America after strong preview sales. It'll be facing the stiffest competition from previous #1 films Goat and Wuthering
After the break, a game-changing addition. Toronto FC signs superstar striker Josh Sargent in a potentially record-setting transfer. As we told you earlier, Canada's economy shrank unexpectedly at the end of 2025, driven by a sharp drop in inventory. B&M Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has more in tonight's business report.
Data from StatsCan shows GDP shrank by 0.6% in the fourth quarter as manufacturers dipped into their stockpiles to meet demand instead of producing fresh goods. The sharp drop was partially offset by increased household spending as well as exports and government spending. Overall, GDP increased 1.7% in 2025. That's the slowest pace of growth since 2020. And StatsCan says the main contributor was lower exports, particularly to the United States. Laurentian Bank of Canada posted first quarter results that came in below expectations. The Montreal-based lender missed on profit and also posted a net loss of just over $20 million. Laurentian says the results were due to its strategic shift from retail and small banking to a specialty commercial bank. And Fairfax Financial is the front runner to buy a majority stake in IDBI Bank. That's according to a report from Bloomberg. Fairfax is in advanced talks with the Indian government for a 61% stake valued at about $8 billion US. The deal could mark the biggest foreign investment in India's banking sector. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar was up to 73.33. West Texas Intermediate is up to 67.34. Western Canadian Select also up to end the day to 51.14. And the TSX is down, finishing at 34,339. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
As competition heats up in the business jets market, a new report shows Bombardier held on to its position as the world's second largest manufacturer. The General Aviation Manufacturers Association says the Montreal-based company delivered 157 planes valued at a total of nearly $8 billion US last year. And that's up from 146 last year. And it was only one behind the total produced by American rival Gulfstream Aerospace, although Gulfstream's earnings surpassed $10 billion US.
After a high-profile bidding war came to an end yesterday, it's now official. Warner Brothers Discovery has agreed to be taken over by Paramount Skydance. Warner Brothers was first set to be acquired by Netflix. It was a deal that amounted to just under $28 US per share and only covering the company's studio and streaming assets. But Paramount stepped in and said it would take over all of Warner for a higher bid of $31 a share, worth $110 billion. Netflix then dropped out of the bidding process. Industry insiders are bracing for layoffs as Paramount and Warner say they are expecting to find billions in efficiencies at the combined company.
There is a concern for job losses and where that's all going to lead, but that would have happened under Netflix or Paramount, maybe in different places, but it would have happened for sure, because whenever you duplicate, unfortunately, I mean, it's heart-wrenching when people have to lose their jobs who have been there for a long time, but I think that was inevitable under either scenario.
If it gets regulatory approval, the combined company will also have control over assets like HBO and CNN.
After weeks of reports and speculation, it's official. Toronto FC has signed U.S. international forward Josh Sargent. The 26-year-old St. Louis native is transferring from UK football club Norwich City. TSN reports the deal could be worth more than £20 million with add-ons, or nearly $37 million. That would potentially make it the largest transfer in Major League Soccer history. Toronto FC general manager Jason Hernandez says Sargent is a proven goal scorer with a winning mentality and the intelligence that will lead our attack for years to come. Sargent said he's excited to join the team and start a new chapter in my life with my Toronto family. And Toronto FC has been posting on social media to celebrate the news and welcome Sargent to the city. The team also shared a photo of Sargent with a TFC jersey, adding in a caption, "This looks right to us."
The Scepters will look to snap a 3-game losing streak when they return to the ice tonight for the first time since the PWHL's Olympic break.
Big time pressure here from Montreal. Gosling wants to shoot, in front, scores!
The team last played on January 28th when they lost 3-0 to the Montreal Victoire. The Scepters will face off against the Seattle Torrent tonight. Puck drop is set for just after 10. Just ahead, counting down to the FIFA World Cup. We're almost 100 days away. Preparations are being made in the most Canadian way, the fan first event coming up.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Toronto is getting set to mark 100 days until the FIFA World Cup kicks off.
And to get into the spirit, a downtown hockey rink got a soccer-style makeover. The outdoor hockey rink at Rendezvous transformed into a soccer pitch called the Soccer Rink. Athletes and fans took part in an outdoor soccer tournament, proving the cold doesn't dampen the soccer spirit in Toronto. The official FIFA World Cup mascots, Maple, Zayu, and Clutch, were also there, as well as some Toronto hockey and soccer stars. We spoke to organizers about the event.
It's going to be a great time for the city. Anytime we have these big events here, the city just gets electric, and especially having such a multicultural place like Toronto, the GTA, it's going to be the most exciting times. I'm so excited to see a lot of the teams and the countries being repped throughout the city, and it's going to be wild.
All right, can't wait. We're talking close to 100 days. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, and we're looking forward to the nice warm weather that goes along with FIFA World Cup. But we're gonna have to wait a few days, hopefully not 100.
Yeah, you know what? Somehow that feels like it's going to come quite quickly. And with any luck, we will be dealing with better weather, at least warmer weather by those games. Here's a look at what we're waking up to tomorrow morning. It's not so bad in the morning. It's through the afternoon that we see the temperature drop to around -3 degrees. Again, that's the afternoon temperature. We're not going to get any warmer than -6 degrees on Sunday with overnight lows in the minus teens. Here's one more look at your 7-day forecast with a little bit of warmth returning through the middle part of next week, but also a bit more in the way of cloud cover. Zoraida and Nathan.
Thanks, Lindsay. Be sure to join Morella Fernandez tonight at 11 for CTV National News. I'll have your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay and all of us here, thanks for watching and have a good night. We'll see you at 11:30.